We scored 3 goals in 10 minutes after being down 2-0 to win. Might have been one of the greatest games of soccer that I've ever seen. What is up, guys? My name is Ty Roda, the host of the Vanity and Black Show here on YouTube with your in-depth analysis of all things Austin FC. Now, we take a look back at this tremendous road victory against DC United after coming so close so many times on the road. We were finally able to secure a victory against a perennial Eastern Conference powerhouse in DC United. Let's jump into it. First half, Josh Wolf is still dealing with Cecilio Dominguez being away from the team. Hopefully, from the sound of it, he'll be back shortly with the club. Not sure how much playing time he's going to get when he comes back. He might have to get, I don't know what his fitness level is, but I would assume since he's been away from the team and team activities that he probably will need to ramp up his fitness. So I expect to see him out for the foreseeable future. But from all accounts, it seems as if it's not going to be too serious. So there were some lineup changes in today's game. You had Gallagher starting for Kolmanic, which I thought was interesting. Valencia as well in the middle with Ring and Pereira. Austin FC, typically it seems like when we start off games, we choose to play from the back, kind of build up momentum as we move forward. This game, it was a little different. We were doing a lot more direct balls, either over the top or just trying to clear the midfield. And it wasn't really working, and I think it gave DC United a lot of momentum on turnovers in the midfield as well as in our defensive third. There was that early goal taken back by offsides for DC United. I was a little nervous about that, but I think it was the 12th minute. 2 DC United players collide, and they both miss. And Urruti did well stealing the pocket of Bill Hamid, the DC United goalkeeper. But the frustrating thing is he lacked composure after stealing the ball, and he could have easily laid it off for Fagundes to rip in a shot, and he decided to back facing the net, turn around and slash at it, and just skied it over. So that was kind of frustrating. But the first 20 minutes, was real fast paced, very fast paced. I thought for sure, we were going to get burned at least a goal or two. It felt like DC United was pressing tremendously, a lot better than Austin FC was defending. And so, they were pushing at us. They were doing balls over the top. They were putting in balls from the wings. And one of the things, they did their homework. One of the things that sometimes Austin FC defense struggles is marking inside the box. Their young Hopkins, who I think is 17 years old, probably should have had at least 1 goal in the first half. He looked on fire. Our midfield kind of let DC United have their way in the first half. I was kind of disappointed in Nick Lima's performance. Gave the ball away a little too much, in my opinion, and was caught out of position quite a few times. But the first, DC United goal starts with that turnover by Gallagher inside our own defensive third, and they're able to get the ball near the far post from across, just able to put it back for Kamara, who seems like a legit finisher. He scored again, and both times, his technique and ability to not need to take a touch and just have the confidence to put it in the back of the net is superb. I'll get to that here in a second, but that first goal, terrible marking. Fagundes kind of looked like he might have been pushed in the back on the ball, but even then, they're able to put the ball to Kamara, who is marked, but the Austin FC defender is on the wrong side of the DC United offensive player. So that's frustrating. It seems like we're struggling inside the box and inside our own 6, which is really dangerous, especially for Stuver. So after that first goal, Kamara was able to celebrate a little too much and got a yellow that we see ultimately affect the outcome of this game later on. But we also think a couple minutes later, Fagundes scores off of Urruti, but Urruti was 5 feet offsides. And then Driussi, that entire first half after he took that knock early on, was kind of laboring. He didn't seem like himself until he scored the goal later on. And the second goal for DC United, came with a corner. Once again, we are not very good at marking in the box off of set pieces. They play short, and Kamara is just sitting wide at the top of the box, able to steer it past Stuver. Doesn't take a touch, just the ball's coming in at pace. All he has to do is put a foot on it, and he steers it in the back of the net, which puts them up 2-0. And it showed that our defense fell asleep and falls asleep at scary moments. And I think in previous games they do fall asleep. We definitely allow the other team to have chances. I just don't think the other teams have always been able to capitalize on those chances that we give them. Cascante was able to header a bar off the crossbar. And then, as we go into the second half, that's where things really get interesting, because end of the first half, Kamara might have gotten a ticky-tack foul against Driussi. In my personal opinion, it looked like Driussi, yes, Kamara did have an arm around him that brought him down, but Driussi was holding the back of his left, what looked like hamstring, maybe knee. And I didn't think Kamara brought him down hard enough to warrant a yellow. And Driussi looked like he was laboring a little. I could see from the standpoint of the referee, it did look kind of dangerous. I don't necessarily want to put the onus on the referee to give Kamara a yellow card. I understand it, and I think you can't really argue the ticky-tack foul, because at the same time you could look back and say, okay, well, that should have been Kamara's first yellow, not his second, because he put the responsibility on himself after scoring that first goal with the excessive celebration. If he doesn't do that excessive celebration, take his shirt off, kind of go crazy, we go into half, they have 11 men, all he has is a yellow. But because he decided to do something what I deem stupid, he runs the risk of potentially getting a second yellow. And as a forward, he and Driussi were all the way at our touch line. So I'm happy that we were able to play with 11 v 10, but at the same time, it was just a weird series of events. And I think we can all agree that had Kamara stayed in the game and we played 11 v 11 in the second half, it would have been probably drastically different. In the second half, we looked a lot more lively, as we should have. Kamara being out, us up a man. We held a lot of possession. We had Kolmanich come in for Gallagher, Jimenez for Lima, Finley for Valencia, Hosen for Urruti, and then Felipe for Ring. Hosen was able to get that first goal. I think it was about the 80th minute that we were able to get on the score sheet. A nice left foot. All he does is sticks his foot out, and is able to put it in past the DC United goalie. Not a whole lot of technique. He just was in the right spot at the right time. And then that second goal, after the first goal, we kept pushing and pushing. You could tell that we were going for this tie. I'd like to say we were going for the win, but I think being down 2-0 and just being able to get it even was ultimately our goal. I don't think Josh Wolf was thinking, okay, we're down 2-0. Let's see if we can go score 3 goals. The goal after that first one by Hosen was, let's tie it up and then see what happens. And we did just that. Jimenez is looking like a bright spot. To be honest, I'll say it here. I thought he was the player of the game. I know he came on in the second half, but he looked strong. I was thinking about giving it to Jimenez or Driussi, but Driussi kind of looked flat after his knock in the first half. So I want to give it to Jimenez. That ball to Driussi inside the box was superb. And the reason I give it to Jimenez and not Driussi is because we're starting to see we expect Driussi to be on point. When Driussi isn't on point, then things are a little troublesome, and so it's going to take a lot for me to give Driussi the player of the game or player of the match. So I like to spread the wealth. I thought Jimenez came in and did a nice job. But man, after Driussi scored that second goal and we tied it up, I was excited, but I also knew I needed to taper my excitement because DC United throughout the game had shown that they could score a goal against us. Granted, we were up a man, and it was 11v10, and we had all of the momentum in the world. But I just think it would have been such a killer had DC United been able to score, and we came back from 2-0 down and lose 3-2. But I mean, in that 90th minute, Fagundes whips that ball in. It kind of looked like a mishit, to be honest. He lofted it in. Gabrielson got pretty lucky. It was not a good goal. DC United had terrible defending. I don't know what they were doing, especially in the 90th minute. Gabrielson puts his head on it, and Bill Hamid kind of, had a goalkeeping blunder. It looked like he tried to fall on top of the ball, and it slid underneath him and went in the back of their net. I'm not complaining. I just think, we got a little lucky. I'm pessimist. I'm a little bit of a pessimist on the side of caution, just from what I've seen from this team. I think the results we need to be happy about, and I think that's part of the learning. I just hope that Wolf and his staff understand that yes, we are seeing the results, but at the same time, we still need to continue to progress. We still need to get sharper on balls, either from crosses or from corners, and then just marking defensively. We also give the ball away a lot. I know everyone's like, Ring likes to play out, or I'm sorry, Wolf likes to play out of the back because that's what, he learned from his assistant coaching days. But if it's not working, we need to change up the game plan. And you saw the first 20 minutes. I don't know if the direct play style is the way to go either. But I think all in all, this was one of the more fun games to watch as an Austin FC fan. It was kind of a frustrating first half, but I think we all knew going into halftime, with a man down, we knew what our offense is capable of. And I think that's the exciting thing with Austin FC moving forward is, regardless of how we mark, how we play defensively, it feels like this team is never out of reach. Granted, being down 3 goals, 4 goals in a game, that's tough. But we showed that in this game, and I think in other games, that we can score goals and we can score them quick. So that's exciting. I'd like to see, going into the Vancouver game, I'd like to see Wolf put Kolmanich back in for Gallagher. I don't expect Dominguez to be back, so I could see Valencia being in there again. And then, to be honest, if I think Urruti is going to start, but if he wants to try Hoesen, why not? I think, we're at home. This is a perfect game for Hoesen to at least start the first half. And if he struggles, kind of like Gite did, you at least gave him a chance. I think Hoesen has shown that he has the ability to come onto the pitch and it not be a drop-off. I mean, I'm okay with Urruti starting, but I think I'd like to see what Hoesen can do. Maybe give Urruti fresh legs for the second half to come on. Maybe if it's still tied 0-0, even if we're up 1-0 going into the Vancouver game, to at least be able to have fresh legs. And then, I mean, he can run for a good 45 minutes. And I will say before I end this, I wasn't as frustrated with Gabrielson and Cascante. More so Gabrielson. I'm usually pretty pissed off at Gabrielson playing center back. He did get a goal. He got the game-winning goal, so I'll give him that. I'll stay away from bashing Gabrielson for this week. But yeah, that's kind of my take on this week's game. We're at the top of the league. It's an exciting time here in Austin. Hopefully, we're able to move up the power rankings. I don't know what these folks are watching, but we're 6, about to be 7 games into the season, we've shown that we're for real. And I'm excited for what's to come. So thank you all so much. Feel free to hit like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out a lot. And please give me some feedback. I appreciate it. Take care.